Hey, everybody. Welcome to a mini podcast that's so new that Mark Weber and I haven't figured out what to even call it yet. I'm Skip Cohen, and my co host is here with me, is Marathon's Mark Weber. And between the two of us, we've got a combined history in the photographic industry of, we think, 90 plus years, which is like a big ouch. But I've got to admit, and so will Mark, time flies when you're having a good time. Mark's background is primarily as a professional photographer with a long list of accolades over the years, with a great business background and customer service at Marathon Press. Now, me, I've just always loved the business and marketing side of imaging, and that's the journey that I've been on for all these years. So, what we want to do is with each one of these short episodes, we want to share ideas to help you build a stronger brand. And it's not just your brand, it's also building a stronger business and a marketing skill set. Today, we're going to be talking about print competition. And while it might seem a little obscure to some of you, it's really not. In fact, it represents an interactive approach to building a stronger set of skills in virtually every aspect of imaging/slash photography. So, buddy, here we are. Where do you want to start?
Yeah, it's PPA has got such a great thing going for all professional photographers with us having a venue to have a camaraderie. It's as much as kind of encouraging each other, helping each other grow. And there's just so many benefits that go with print competition. And certainly that doesn't make you as a photographer, but there's so many benefits to it that, I got to thinking, let's kind of chat about that a little bit because gosh, you and I have both entered print competition and have had some degree of success. And boy, here we are years later. And, it's different looking at it from the age I am now to when I first started entering print competition. And it's not until you get down the road that you realize just how beneficial it has been over the years. And even though I'm not running a day-to-day photography studio anymore, I'm still active every year in print competition because it keeps me relevant, keeps me excited, keeps me happy. There's just so many benefits that go with it. And then the customers benefit from it too.
Well, I entered PPA one year and I was ecstatic that it actually scored high enough to get whatever I got. This is going back years ago. But actually, my first experience was in WPPI's print competition, and this is before I was working for WPPI. And I went in to sit in to just watch the judging, and I figured, all right, I'll be there for an hour. Well, I wound up being there most of the day, and I was there most of the day because everything I could learn, it just kept coming up. It was you've got judges looking at your prints. It's so important. It it essentially it was like having a workshop with judges telling me what I needed to do to create a better image. And it was so cool to listen to. But I want to remind everybody one thing that regardless of what judging and judges say about a print, Dean Collins' old line is still valid, which is beauty is in the eyes of the checkbook holder. And I
Yes.
always used to laugh at that because people would get upset because a particular judge didn't like the image, but their client did. So it's not the be all and end all. It's just an incredible educational experience. So if you thought about print competition and especially your early days of entering, what are some of the biggest benefits that
You
you
know,
felt you picked up out of this?
yeah, it's somewhere along the line. I started realizing after entering print competition how many things I was doing wrong, not just to please the judges, but also just your customers. And like you said, the customer doesn't always know or care, how you score in print competition, although you can turn that into a PR thing. But what I learned was that, gosh, there's a reason why um, prints score the way they do, and also the reason why customers purchase certain prints the way they do, because it had an impact. It had all the elements that not only pleases the judges but pleases the customer as well. So it was kind of like a couple of years into it, and I realized, boy, I look back on some of my photography and it's like, wow, where did I learn that? And how did I not know that before? And that's a lot of it is due to PPA print competition.
Well, I remember sitting there because once I got hooked, then it became an annual event, and I was in the room as much as I could be in the room. Probably because I was hiding from having to set up our booth at Hasselblad, but it's nice being somewhere where you're actually learning something too. For me, I got an awful lot out of comments made on exposure, on composition. The judges would, a print would go up and the judges would be looking at it, and there would be comments made about, how this would have been stronger. I mean, they were great tips. Or there might be something that they really liked that I hadn't really noticed, but exposure, composition, and then also the trends. Because you'd see black and white, you'd see color, you'd see cross processing, you'd see absolutely every possible trend. And there were some ugly trends I remember too. There were a few years there where everybody became filter junkies.
Yep.
And if the image is bad, then it's just bad.
Yep.
Stop thinking you're going to clean it up with new special effects. And fortunately, after a few years, that died out, and we got back to just a really good foundation of basic comments and things people were doing. And I learned so much about just listening to the judges talk about a particular image. And remember, the judges don't know whose print it is. So they're
Right.
looking at it stone cold and just saying, yeah, here's what I like, here's what I don't like. And most of these judges have looked at hundreds, if not thousands, of prints in their career as judging.
Yeah. And if you really want an eye opener, after you've been in it a while, take the PPA judging class. That is something too that enables you to come at it as the eyes of a judge. And it really helps you just take that next step and get to that next level with your photography, and also, the opportunity to judge competitions.
Oh, that's a really good point. In fact, I'd find myself trying to second guess the judges. And this is after a couple of years of sitting in those rooms and saying, all right, this is going to be, an 81. This one's going to be a 90. And I was really surprised sometimes when I was way off the charts, thinking something was, the kind of image that only Van Gogh could have done if he'd had a camera in his hands, or better yet, Rembrandt. And finding out, no, here's what the judges didn't like about it, and then being able to actually see that and learn. And one thing I want to remind everybody that print competition, it takes a certain focus and a certain passion, but even if you don't enter competition, sit on the judging, or if you don't have time at a particular show to sit in on judging, or if judging isn't open to the public, then go see the print exhibit, because you will learn so much about trends in terms of what's hot and what's not, and printing techniques. And again, it's exposure and composition and style.
Absolutely. You can download the 12 elements. And I remember one time we were at a convention, and rules are meant to be broken. And there was a talented photographer who did a print completely on breaking all the rules, and it scored like a 95. It was absolutely brilliant because it went against all the rules, and yet that maker was able to turn it into something by breaking all the rules. So, but first you got to know them all, and that's one of the great things about the 12 elements of a merit image. It helps you understand how to present your image and how to make it look unique. And even with the PPA loan, now it's the Image Excellence book. They just changed the name this year, and the Showcase book. Those are incredible resources, and I still use them every season. In fact, with the district judging dates are right now, they're taking that between March 1st and April 14th. So now's the time to be, working on your prints as we record this. Those judging dates are May 16th through the 19th. But, as I go through my either client images, or if I want to challenge myself to do something, like a couple of years ago, I decided I've never entered a commercial print. I'm going to enter something that is kind of in that category. And I was fortunate enough to get a loan image out of it. And it's all due to the inspiration from other photographers, the PPA loan book that I looked through, and the Showcase too. There's just a plethora of ideas out there besides the internet and these books that just give you that inspiration and the ability to springboard off of something and be unique. That's the main thing that, as I talk to other photographers and judges, it's entering something that the judge has not seen 100 million times. There's kind of a formula sometimes people get caught up into, but today there's so much diversity in the work that comes through, and the degree of quality is on a level like I've never seen before. And that's what really excites me as a photographer, is to be able to look at this stuff and say, wow, just a higher level of skill and quality and originality. And that's the thing that there's things in the book that are just so simple and so well done. And then there's others that is really complex with a lot of Photoshop layers, that was involved. And nothing just excites me more than to look through that and say, I want to try that, or I want to try to duplicate that, or here's my interpretation of it.
Well, you know what it's like? I mean, I love to cook,
Mm.
and Sheila and I have a couple of favorite cookbooks here. And it is when you look at the Lone Collection books, and I don't have any of the newer ones, but I've got a whole bunch of older ones. And when you go through those and you look at the work that's being shared, it is like somebody that's trying to make a recipe, and you're looking at the lighting. I mean, in this case, you kind of can know as a photographer, you kind of know the ingredients. You can tell how many lights they had. You can tell. You can pretty well guess what their exposure might have been and what they did to get that special effect. But looking at those books and those images, it does give you a feel for what can be done. And you and I aren't suggesting that people go in and copy other people's work, but if you think about it, where do we get all of our ideas? It's from the outside world. If you go back, 25 years ago, black and white suddenly got hot. Around that same time, Tylenol used to do a black and white commercial for the Tylenol, for Tylenol. I guess it was Tylenol Maximum Strength, whatever, and it was black and white. And in the end, the capsule came in selective color, in yellow and red, or white and red, whatever it was. The same with magazines. Every bride wants her groom. She wants that shot of Leonardo DiCaprio that was in some men's cologne commercial 25 years ago. And I'm dating myself now badly. But if you want to know about trends and the educational experience, make it a point to find out what's going on with print competition at the next conference we go to. We're all coming out of the pandemic now. Imaging USA was pretty great this year. I know WPPI just took place a week or so ago. Make it a point to get back out and especially participate on your state level too. Every state, and you've got local affiliates in cities. I know years ago I spoke at the Dallas PPA affiliate, and they do their own print competition every month at their meeting. And it's
Yeah.
a great way to get involved in your local community too. And that's kind of exhausted my comments on the topic. You want to close this off with anything else?
Well, just know this: you definitely have to have a thick skin when you enter, and I say that so that, there are some people that when they don't get a merit or don't score what they were expecting, it can be really depressing for some. They take it as they're not worthy. And boy, nothing could be farther from the truth. It's really, you know, you're amongst a family where they are not going to remember you for being a non-meritor. They're going to remember you for, hey, you had a good attitude, you entered, you tried, and in the end, when everybody goes home, the only score they think about is their own. And even that's not for long. But just know that, your self-worth and your value to your customers is not entirely based upon what your print scored. And just keep that in mind, because it's a learning experience. And if that's something that's going to really bug you or bring you down, don't enter, because there's other ways to get inspired. But but on the most part, it's a very positive experience. It gives you the ability to have some publicity releases when you do well. And the nice thing too, all the judgings are online, and you can go on and take advantage of learning and watching through that. So yeah, just get out there and enter. Nothing just replaces that ability to earn your degrees, get your credentials, have some publicity releases, and learn from the best.
Great. So let's wrap this up with letting people know where to find you and me, because this is something new we're going to do, and right now it's just sort of at random. But if there are topics that you'd like us to talk about and there are things you'd like us to bring up, with so much exposure and experience in the industry, I think Mark and I have a lot of good things that we're going to be able to share on future episodes of whatever we call this thing. So Mark, where do they go to find you?
If you want to contact me, you can find me at markw@marathonpress.net. You can call me at 800-228-0629, extension 283.
All right. And everybody, you'll find me at skip@mei500.com. I'm also Skip Cohen on Facebook and Skip Cohen on Twitter. And thanks for joining us on this little mini podcast to talk about print competition.